Hee. Today I am recapping the latest episode of Duel Season 3, the Met Gala Threads of Time. I have a lot to say, so without further ado, let's get into it. The Warriors discussed the first double save in Duel history. Obviously, those that were saved, Alex and Heavy, are thrilled. The remaining competitors, not so much. There are still 7 Warriors left and everyone wants a place in that finale. So for this week's main round, it is the return of the Met Gala. But this season, it has a new theme, the Threads of Time. Created by iconic designer and Duel Season 1 alum Titanic Donovan. The Warriors will have to design a head-to-toe red carpet look, inspired by artists of the past. Think extravagance. As the winner of last week's main round, Trans Jennifer is given the Artiste power-up, or rather, power down. She can use it on an opponent of her choosing, and the recipient will have to apply their makeup for the Met Gala with their fingers. She ends up choosing Alex because she says she's already on a downward trajectory and this could hinder her further. But these curses always end up as blessings. We'll get there. Titanic is brought in as a consultant for the Warriors and their looks. They tell Derek that Hennessy could win this week, and the edit was there. Titanic also tells Derek that Alex's sketch was the most boring, and that they are worried about their final product. But it turns out they didn't need to be. Titanic reminds Neon that she's the only one left in the competition to not have a challenge win. But Neon is not gunning for a win this week. She says safe is the goal because design challenges are not her thing. She also mentions that due to a very busy schedule, she does not have time to redo her current look. But Titanic is able to give her enough advice on how to elevate the look without redoing the entire thing. Gwen is told that her artist choice is not Threads of Time enough, meaning they must be based before the 2000s. She pivots to an older, darker artist, leading to her bravely opening up about her past experiences with sexual violence, and how that trauma has shaped her current relationship. She now feels in control of her story and can share it through her art. Thank you, Gwen, for being so brave. Your words really resonated with me. On the more chaotic side, Trans unfortunately has her materials stolen from her doorstep, and Smokey says her inner saboteur is telling her the final product is not good enough. And Heavy feels like he could have done more. He says when it comes to the competition, he doesn't have much more to give. And sadly, the edit was there. Alex shares a montage of her finger painting her face, and honestly, work. I could not do this without looking like a clown. So category is Threads of Time. I want to go through these incredible looks first and then share my top 2. First up, we have Heavy Cream inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe. Next is Gwendolyn inspired by Francisco Goya. We then have Hennessy inspired by Basquiat. Neon is inspired by Keith Haring. Trans Jennifer is inspired by Frida Kahlo. Smokey is inspired by Joseph Vargo. And Alex is inspired by Georges Seurat. And every single one of you blew me away this week. This was amazing, probably the best runway in drag duel so far. However, I gave my top 2 to Hennessy. I mean, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? On the judging panel this week, we have Derek and Bootsy. We have Hydra, Dom Perignon, Titanic Donovan, and extra special guest judges Twink Trash and Rich Rocket. First up, we have Heavy Cream. Titanic says they were disappointed in the final product, having such high hopes for it beforehand. Derek wanted more contrasting colours akin to Georgia O'Keeffe, and Twink said it felt disjointed. This is Gwen. Hydra said she liked the personal aspect but didn't really understand the artist inspiration. Rich says they can see the turmoil in the look. Next is Hennessy. Bootsy says she looks sickening, and Hydra says she could see the inspiration and influence of Basquiat. Titanic says it's one of their favourite looks by a drag artist, and I have to agree. Now we have Neon. Titanic says the look's a bit simple, but it was executed well. Rich says the presentation was illuminating, and Dom says it was beautifully made. Derek, however, says he noticed the presentation more than the garment itself. Now we have Trans. Dom appreciated the handmade aspects. Derek says the makeup and the hair is amazing. Titanic, however, says it looks a little too child's birthday party. And Hydra says it's SpongeBob meets Lisa Frank. Next is Smokey. Twink says it needed more of a wow factor, mainly in the structure of the gown. Dom says she didn't really stick to the colour palette of Joseph Vargo. The reference is a bit lost in the sauce. And last but not least, we have Alex. Dom says it was flawlessly made and Bootsy was blown away by her mug. You know, given the finger painting of it all. Titanic says they needn't have worried about Alex, this was flawless. And so the results are in. Bootsy says this week there'll be no safe or low placements. Placing high, we have Gwen, and Trans does not agree. And also placing high is Neon, and Trans does not agree. Trans is also placed high. She totally agrees. But it is Hennessy and Alex that end up taking a double win. I mean, yes, this was so valid. It was really hard to choose between them. So why choose? They will both get their own individual power-up going into next week's main round. This means the bottom two are Smokey and Heavy Cream. They performed to It Boy by Baby No Money. They both did a great job. It was really hard to say who did better. However, Smokey gets to stay and we say goodbye to Heavy Cream. And I'm sad. Heavy's become a good friend. I wish him all the best. He's such an iconic king. So, my friends, what did you think of the latest episode of Drag Duel Season 3? The level of talent and artistry that these warriors are giving is next level. I feel so blessed week after week. Next week is a Christmas-themed challenge. 'Tis the season and all, but let me know who had your favourite look this week and who you think won the lip sync. Don't forget to send Heavy Cream lots of love. But as always, give me all the tea and I'll see you very soon for another video.